everyone, and welcome to the Alumni House. This is Quacker, and tonight we're looking at a review of week 2 of the college baseball season. College baseball, it's right there for me, right there with college football as far as favorite things to watch, favorite things to cover. I'm really excited about this. I actually got to go this past weekend to Round Rock. I went with one of my uncles. We went and watched Southern Miss dominate for the weekend. We missed Friday night. We had a family thing we had to do in Dallas, but we caught all the games on Saturday, but both games on Saturday and both games on Sunday. Saw some really good baseball. Got to tick one off the old bucket list for me. I got to see Oregon State play live. And more than that, I got to see Southern Miss beat Oregon State live, which was really, really cool. I've been a fan of the Oregon State program for a while. I think they do things very well there. Definitely a very good program, very prominent program. They've been kind of front and center in college baseball for the last 15 or 20 years. And so it is really cool to see them play live. And really cool, like I said, to see my alma mater go in and just really dominate the game when they played them. It was cold. I packed a jacket and it wasn't enough. Really kind of froze the entire day Saturday while we were at the park. And you're there for quite a while. We were there from 1 till after, I think 9:30, I think is when we finally left. So we were there for quite a while. It's Sunday morning. I went and bought a jacket from Walmart. They didn't have like any thick jackets like left out, so it's kind of a thinner zip up hoodie, but it was at least another layer I could put on. I went with like 3 layers on, and I was still cold, but I wasn't as cold as I was the night before. But that wind in that stadium at Round Rock, it doesn't stop. Just the entire time you're sitting there, it's blowing. Where we were sitting, we were right behind home plate. Great seats, but we were kind of in the shade the whole time, so we kind of moved around and got in the sun when we could. It helped a little bit, but that was one of those things that you go there in May, and it's probably a much better experience as far as like weather-wise and stuff. Not quite too hot yet. Definitely not too cold. But it was still a fun experience. I would definitely go back again. Just next time I would take warmer clothes with me. But so we're gonna hop on into this past week's schedule here. We'll look at the top 25, and then we'll kind of jump into the conferences we actually cover, and look at how they did. And of course, in the top 25, there's going to be teams that we don't cover. I'll just kind of mention them as we go along, just to kind of give an overview of how they're doing. So we'll start with the number 1 team in the country, UCLA. Obviously, they're a Big Ten school. It's still weird saying that. I think that's their second full year in the Big Ten. But I still think of them as Pac-12, but they're not Pac-12 anymore. But they went 4-0 on the week. Beat Tulane, who normally has a pretty good program. And then they swept TCU, who is the 7th ranked team in the country. Another program we don't cover because they're Big 12. But, dominant showing on the weekend. And just kind of what you expect out of the number 1 team in the country. I played in the number 7 team in the country. You expected them to maybe at least win, or you would have expected UCLA to drop 1, but they didn't. So great showing by them. LSU at number 2. They went 5-0 on the week. They had one of the weeks where you have a two midweek games. They played Kent State and Nichols. Won both of those, and then they went to Jacksonville and played the Jacksonville College Baseball Classic. I think this may be the first year that Jacksonville has done these classics, but they played Indiana, Notre Dame, and UCF, and of course they won that classic. Number 3, Texas. They had a 4-0 week, a win against Lamar and a sweep against Michigan State. Number 4, Mississippi State, 4-0. Their biggest win was probably against Troy. Troy's a pretty good program out of the Sun Belt. They won that one 13-7, and then they played Alcorn State, which is a HBCU here in Mississippi. That one they won 19-0. That's no big surprise there. And then a weekend sweep of Delaware, which is a Conference USA team. So, big weekend sweep there. They said they went 4-0, but they actually went 5-0 on the weekend. I don't know why D1 has them listed at only 4-0, but Georgia Tech, they also had a 5-0 week. They played Georgia Southern. Really whooped them up. They won 25-1 against them. Then they played a 4-game set against Stony Brook. That says 1, 2, 3. Yeah, a 4-game set against Stony Brook. The offense kind of exploded for Georgia Tech this weekend. They had 2 games where they scored 20+ runs, and another one where they scored. In the other 2 of the other ones, they scored 10+ runs, and they had an easy 6-5 win in there as well. Coastal Carolina, not a great week. They went 2-2. Lost College of Charleston, and I think they've kind of been having trouble with playing College of Charleston. I saw where they've lost them quite a few times in a row, or maybe not in a row, but they that's a team that they seem to struggle with. Beat VCU. They lost Illinois, and then they beat VCU again. And they had another game against Illinois that was canceled. I did not see why. TCU at number 7. They went 0-4 on the week. They lost to UT Arlington, and of course the weekend sweep to UCLA. We won't spend any time on that one, but since they're not one of our conference that we cover. Arkansas, 4-0 week. Beat Tarleton, which it shows that Arlington, I think that's Arlington, Virginia. And then a 3-0 weekend sweep of Xavier. That's Xavier, I think that's out of Ohio. Auburn, 3-1 a week. They lost to Cincinnati, 8-0. And then they went and played in a classic. I'm not sure which one they played at. But they swept the weekend. They beat Kansas State, Florida State, and Louisville. North Carolina had a 3-1-1 week. Yes, right. You can have a tie in college baseball. It's very rare. They beat Richmond, and they beat Longwood, and then they went 1-1-1 against East Carolina. And the last one, it's one of those games where it's a getaway game where you only have a certain amount of time that you have to get the game in, because the team has to leave to get back to the airport to fly out or whatever. And so that's obviously when you hit the time limit, that's it. So you don't have a lot of ties in baseball. You don't have them at all in Major League Baseball. You'll have them every now and then in college baseball, and that's what it happens is on these getaway days when they run out of time. Oregon State, they went 2-2. Of course, they beat Michigan, beat Baylor in the first game. And in that first game in their in the Round Rock Classic, they had a pitcher. Let me see if I can find his name real quick. I missed that game, but he was super impressive. He had 17 strikeouts, and Dax Whitney, 17 strikeouts against Baylor in that first game. And of course, then Southern Miss won 9-4 against them, and they lost to Purdue. And against Purdue, they were winning the game, and then they gave up a one inning where they just gave up some crooked numbers, and I think they gave up like 4 runs in the inning. But they only had that one inning that they really kind of lost control of the game, and it came back to bite them because Purdue, their pitching just kind of shut down the bats after that. And that Purdue team, I was impressed with them. They took Southern Miss to the bottom of the ninth. Southern had a walk-off win against them, but they hit the whole weekend. They went 2-1 in the Round Rock Classic. They swing a good bat. They're going to be a problem for teams in the Big Ten this year. I haven't seen them play live. I think that's going to be a team that's going to be dangerous, and I would not be surprised to see them fighting for a regional, not the host, but for a spot in a regional somewhere this year. Just now, things can change. They can have injuries and stuff and setbacks and stuff, but just as of right now, with the healthy team, I can see them. I can see them playing in a regional and maybe making a run in a regional to a regional final. Let's see, it's 5, 6, 8, 9, 11. Okay, so number 12, Florida State. They went 5-0 on the week. They played 2 games against Stetson, which is a team there in Florida, and then a weekend series against Kennesaw State, who, if you watched this inning, Kennesaw State is a Conference USA team. They, I think they're in their second year of being in Division I in football. They've actually been D1 in baseball for quite a bit longer. They were in a regional in Hattiesburg. I want to say in 22. So they've been playing D1 baseball for a while. They're normally a pretty good program, and they, outside of one game when they got shut out 11-0, they put up a little bit of a fight this weekend against Florida. Tennessee, they went 2-2 on the weekend. They lost the weekend series to Kent State. Not good. Of course, Tennessee, they're in their first year under a new head coach. Of course, if you don't remember, Tony Vitello, he went to the San Francisco Giants. He is the head coach for the Giants now. Became the first manager to go from college to pro without any previous experience in the pros. Georgia had a 4-0 week. They didn't really play anybody of note. Louisville went 2-2. They played Xavier, beat them 23-11 during their midweek. And in their classic that they were in, let me see if I can find that classic real quick. Let's see. Mm, that's the thing about going to team's Twitter page. You have a lot to kind of go through here. It doesn't say. Oh, it's Arlington. They were in the Arlington. It was the whatever the classic there in Arlington is. I don't see a name on it, but so anyway, they went 2-2 in that one. They lost to Michigan, lost to Auburn. Florida State, another 2-2 week. Um, they were also in that Arlington Classic. It looks like they probably had 6 teams in that one. I've seen that a couple times with these classics where they'll have 6 teams, so not everybody will play everybody. Um, let's see. NC State had a 3-1 week. Again, nothing of note. I mean, they played Winthrop and Princeton. Kentucky, a 2-2 week. They lost to Morehead State. And in the weekend series, they lost the getaway game 1-0 to Evansville. Clemson with a 4-0 week. Clemson was the number 19 team in the country. They beat Charlotte and then beat Bryant. Bryant's got a pretty decent program. They normally see them right there at the end of the year in a regional or fighting for a spot in a regional. Number 20 Southern Miss 4-0 on the week. They beat Southeastern Louisiana 3-1. Purdue 5-4. Like I said, they had a walk-off. It was walk-off double by Davis Gillespie. Drove in the winning run there in the bottom of the ninth. Oregon State, they won that with 9-4. Fantastic pitcher performance. This game, I don't always do this because I love to take pictures when I'm at ball games, but I kept score, so I had a scorecard while I was watching the game, and I had a lot of fun keeping score, but I didn't do it the next day because I was just like I can't go back and forth between trying to keep score and take pictures. Because I love trying to capture the moments and stuff with a swing of a bat and stuff like that. The outfielder catching a ball or something like that. So, I got some good pictures from this weekend. I'll put them up on Instagram when I have some time. The Southern Miss pitching staff, they had two pitchers combined for 16 strikeouts. I think they only gave up 2 walks in the entire game. And then Sunday against Baylor, they won 5-1. Another just solid performance all around. You can still hear my voice. It's coming back. It's not back all the way. I kind of felt my vocal cords kind of pop a couple times. And that Oregon State game, because it was so exciting. Southern Miss went ahead like 1-0, and then Oregon State came back and put up 3, and then Southern Miss came back and they hit a 2-run home run in I forget which inning it was in, but it was Davis Gillespie hit a 2-run home run, and they retook the lead at that point, and from that point on, my voice was pretty much shot, but I kept cheering the rest of the weekend, and that's one of the reasons I did not. That night I was tired from traveling Monday when I finally got back. But it's one of the reasons I didn't try to record Monday night, because I didn't have much of a voice left, and I'm still struggling now um, to to do this tonight. My voice, it's still a little shaky, still a little sore, but it was a fun weekend. If you ever get a chance to go to one of these, it's kind of like going to regional, but it's regular season. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't have the atmosphere of regional, and definitely didn't have the atmosphere of being at a home game of Southern Miss. I think our SID was the one calling the games for the radio, because our regular radio guy was out calling basketball for Southern Miss. But he estimated there's probably 300 fans there for Southern Miss. That sounds about right. Cool thing happened with me Saturday night. I looked over on the road that I was sitting on and saw a buddy of mine from high school. He actually played college football at Southern Miss, but I just happened to look over. I'd seen his wife and his kids, and I kind of was like, wait, I think I know them. And I looked over and saw my buddy, so I had a chance to talk to him for just a minute at the game. So that was really cool. Of all the, actually just running into somebody that randomly and sitting on the same row. I don't know what the odds on that are, but it was really cool. Getting back to it, number 21 Oklahoma had a 4-0 week. Again, they didn't really play anybody. They played New Mexico State, which is Conference USA. They're not really a powerhouse in baseball, and then played Coppin State. I mean, they won the first two games 22-1 and 24-0, and they won the last game 11-0. I don't know that Oklahoma's a powerhouse in baseball, but when you're playing a team like Coppin State, it's that's what you expect out of a halfway decent program. Wake Forest with the 4-0 week. Looks like they had a struggle with High Point. High Point, they have a pretty good program. A lot of times you'll see them in a regional. They're usually like a 4 seed, but they can sink on a team every now and then. Miami with a 6-0 week. You heard that right, 6-0. They beat UCF, Indiana State, and then a 4-game set against Lafayette. I've seen Lafayette, so they played Southern a couple years ago. They're up in Pennsylvania, not too far from New Jersey. I was talking with one of the guys' dad, like one of the players' dad, was asking where it was, and they're up in the Pennsylvania area. So it was cold for us, but it was a nice kind of brisk day for them. The last game of the series, Lafayette lost 30-5 to Miami. This Miami team's got a little pop in the bat. Texas A&M with a 4-0 week. They played Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, and then Pennsylvania. Penn, they've got a pretty decent ball club for Ivy League school. West Virginia went 2-1 on the week. It looks like they didn't have a midweek. They played at Liberty, won the first 2 games, and lost the last one. The current top 25. Let's see if I can get to it. Let's see. Here we go. All right, your current top 25, and this was as of Monday. Number 1 UCLA, number 2 number 2 LSU, number 3 Texas, number 4 Mississippi State, number 5 Georgia Tech, number 6 Arkansas, and this is where you see a little bit of a change. Number 7 Auburn, number 8 North Carolina, number 9 Coastal Carolina. Coastal dropped a few spots because of their 2-2 week. Number 10, Florida. Number 11, Georgia. Number 12, Southern Miss. Climbed 8 spots after winning the Round Rock Classic. Number 13 was Oklahoma. 14, NC State. 15, Clemson. 16, Wake Forest. 17, Miami. 18, TCU. 19, Oregon State. Oregon State, I think they dropped 8 spots. So, that was they kind of had a rough trip there in Arlington, and they've stayed in Texas because they'll be in Frisco, Texas this week for another classic. So be interested to see how they do with that one this weekend. I'll be pulling for them this weekend. I was pulling for them and all, but that Southern Miss game this past weekend. Like I said, I've always kind of liked Oregon State, especially over the last few years. Their baseball program it's been one of the better ones in the country. Number 20, Tennessee. 21, Florida State. 22, Kentucky. 23, Texas A&M. 24, West Virginia, and 25, Ole Miss. Ole Miss was new. They're new to the rankings this week. West Virginia, they're new to the rankings this week. And of course, we've had a couple days of games so far this week, and I'll go over those real quick. At least in the conferences that we cover and stuff. There's a little bit of Coastal Carolina. They've got a little bit of bad news for them. They've been hit with the injury bug so far, and Cam Flukie and Hayden Johnson are out for at least 8 more weeks. Cam Flukie is one of their pitchers, and he's kind of a big deal pitcher for, and I can't get into the articles. I don't have the D1 subscription, so I can't read more on it. And I think the second guy that I said, Hayden Johnson, I think he's also a pitcher for him. But that Cam Flukie, he's a big, tall kid. He can throw the ball pretty hard. I've watched him pitch some last year. He's something else. Definitely a pro prospect. That they'll have coming out probably this year. If he stays hurt for a lot of the season, he may stick around. I doubt it, but we'll see. All right, so we'll start with some scores from Monday night. I won't do the whole top 25. I'll just do some of the conferences that we cover here, if I can get it pulled up. Let's see. It jumped on me here. I just saw Sunbelt. Sunbelt on Monday. Winthrop beat Marshall. Marshall's 2-5. They beat Marshall 11-7. Let's see, and that's the only team that played for my conferences that we cover on Monday. On Tuesday, let's see. North Carolina, number 8, North Carolina. They beat North Carolina A&T, which is another HBCU. They beat them 9-1. Number 14, North Carolina State. They had a struggle winning against Richmond. Beat them 27-0. Obviously, that's a joke if you're hearing this. Uh, number 9, Coastal Carolina. They played Campbell, the Campbell Camels. They beat them 13-7. Arkansas State played number 6 Arkansas and beat them 12-4. Arkansas State with the upset win. Tennessee, number 20 Tennessee, they beat Bellarmine 8-3. Number 15 Clemson with a 6-2 win over Presbyterian. Georgia State, good old Sunbelt team, beat Georgia Tech. Number 5 Georgia Tech 9-4. Number 4 Mississippi State beat Austin Peay 16-3. Wake Forest, number 16 Wake Forest, they beat UNC Greensboro 5-1. Ole Miss with the 13-3 win over Southeast Missouri State. Arizona State beat Oklahoma, number 13 Oklahoma 15-3. Florida beat number 10 Florida beat Florida International Conference USA team. Beat them 17-11. Texas A&M with a 25-5 win over Lamar. Number 12 Southern Miss with a 10-run rule win, 14-4 over Alabama. McNeese State beat number 2 LSU last night 7-6. Number 3 Texas beat UT Rio Grande Valley 14-0. Let's see. Virginia Tech beat James Madison 5-4. James Madison actually out-hit Virginia Tech by just 1. But let's see. Duke beat UNC Wilmington. UNC Wilmington's got a pretty good baseball program there. You see them in the postseason quite a bit. And they actually traveled to UNC Wilmington for that one. So good for Duke. Good for one of the big boys traveling to a mid-major like that for a game. See the American Conference. UAB won 10-5 over Alabama State. Memphis beat Little Rock 24-5. South Florida lost to Bethune-Cookman 4-3. Texas State beat UTSA 7-2. I actually passed by San Marcos, which is where Texas State is. I actually passed by there on the way to Round Rock this past weekend. I had never seen it. I knew it was around Austin, but I saw it on the way there this past weekend. So that was really cool. Kind of putting a location to mind when you hear about it. You're just like, okay, where's this at? And then you see it and you're like, oh, okay, this I kind of know more about where this is now. Tulane played UNO this last night. UNO won 11-3. And then poor Rice. Houston Christian beat Rice 11-8. Rice used to be a flagship program in college baseball. They have fallen off. They are 3-6 to start the season. I would like to see them bounce back, become a good program again, because they were that first mid-major to really win a national championship. They beat I don't remember actually who they beat now, but they won the first national title when college baseball went to the 3-game series back in, I think, 2003 or 2004. But they were the first school to win the new format that we have now. And they were dominant in the Conference USA for a long time. But when Wayne Graham retired, they fell off, and they have never recovered. And that's sad to see, because they were a great program under Wayne Graham. he was a great coach. He did things the right way, and now seeing the state of the program now, it's really sad. I would love to see them bounce back and become a good program again. We'll jump over to Conference USA. Middle Tennessee, they beat Tennessee Tech 11-1. Middle Tennessee is 6-2 to start the season. Delaware lost to Maryland 15-14. So apparently there was no pitching in this game at all. Oral Roberts lost to Missouri State 13-1. Jacksonville State with a 15-3 win over Mississippi Valley State. Kennesaw State with a 7-5 win over Georgia Southern. New Mexico State with a 19-7 win over the University of Southwest New Mexico. Dallas Baptist, who is a baseball-only member of Conference USA, with a 6-1 win over UT Arlington. Houston with a 5-4 win over Sam Houston. And then La Tech with a 5-2 win over Northwestern State, which is a interstate rival there in Louisiana. Let's see. Let's get to SEC. I think we probably covered most of these schools. Missouri with a 15-1 win over Arkansas Pine Bluff. Vanderbilt, who dropped out of the top 25, they have a 15-3 win over Evansville. Yeah, we've covered all the other all the other SEC schools. Let's get to Sunbelt here, and that'll be it for. Let's see. Monroe with a 19-9 win over Grambling. Grambling is a HBCU. It's not maybe an hour drive from Monroe to Grambling. Grambling is in the same vicinity as Ruston, Louisiana, which is where Louisiana Tech is. I mean, they're right there together. So that's only about an hour drive between the two. So it's a nice short drive for the fans. Probably a little bit longer drive back if you're a Grambling fan. Let's see. Kansas State lost to Louisiana Lafayette 1-0 last night. And then South Alabama with a 9-7 win over Southeastern Louisiana. So that's kind of that's a recap of everything that's happened from week 2 in the first part of week 3 in college baseball. For this season. See if we can take a quick look ahead here to this next week coming up. The games will start on Friday here. Let me go to ACC. We'll start with ACC. Citadel makes the trip to number 21 Florida State. Notre Dame is playing Alabama A&M, and they're playing them in Cookeville, Tennessee. I'm not sure why they're playing them there. Sacred Heart is going to number 14 NC State. Loyola Marymount is going to number 16 Wake Forest. VCU is headed to Virginia. UNC Greensboro is making the trip to Pittsburgh. Central Michigan is going to Louisville. Princeton is headed to Duke. Be a bunch of smart guys on the field there. Northwestern is headed to Georgia Tech. Number 5 Georgia Tech. Another one where there'll be a bunch of smart guys on the field. Lemoyne is headed to North Carolina. UNC Chapel Thrill. Fresno State is making the ride over to Stanford. Davidson College, which is their most famous alumnus, would be Steph Curry, which is a different sport, but they're making the drive over to number 16, Wake Forest. Davidson is actually in the state of North Carolina, so I'm sure there'll be a decent turnout of fans for Davidson there. Boston College is making the trip to Florida Gulf Coast. This is in Fort Myers, Florida. Number 15, Clemson. They're making the trip to Columbia, South Carolina. Of course, they're in South Carolina, but they're going to play USC this weekend. Number 10, Florida is headed to Alex Rodriguez Park in Mark Light Field at Miami. Number 17, Miami. So you got a top 25 matchup here in the state of Florida. Virginia Tech is headed to Arlington for there's a classic there this weekend. I'm not sure what the name of that one is, but Virginia Tech will be playing Texas A&M, and then Sacramento State is playing Cal. In the American, UTSA is playing Ohio State, and this is in Houston. This is another classic. I'll give y'all some more of these classics and stuff. The other teams that played in them. Charlotte will be going to Old Dominion. Jacksonville to UAB. Rutgers is headed to East Carolina. Jacksonville State headed to Memphis. South Florida is headed to UCF. So a little cross-state matchup here. Villanova is headed down to Boca Raton for the Florida Atlantic Owls. Omaha is playing Wichita State. Eastern Kentucky at Tulane. Harvard at Rice. Another very smart field there, because you have to be pretty smart to go to Rice, and of course Harvard is Harvard. Let's see, hopping down to Conference USA, Indiana is headed to Western Kentucky. Little Rock is headed to Missouri State. Rider University is headed to Delaware. Hofstra is headed to Liberty. And when I think of Hofstra, I think of the New Orleans Saints and Marcus Colston, who's probably their only NFL draft pick ever. They no longer even have a football team, but that's what I think of when I think of Hofstra. Illinois State, they're headed to Middle Tennessee. Illinois State, they are they're Missouri Valley. I believe they're a Division II in football. They play for the national championship in I think they play for. They play for national championship this year in the Division II college football. They're the Cardinals, I guess. They have the same logo as Louisville, which is it took me a second when I first saw it. I thought I was looking at Louisville's logo there. Let's see. Number 24, West Virginia is headed to Kennesaw State. Sam Houston is headed to Oklahoma State. Jacksonville State, Memphis. Stony Brook is headed to Florida International. Stony Brook, I heard about them probably 13, 14 years ago now. They actually played in the Super Regional in Baton Rouge and beat LSU. They made a trip to Omaha, went through Baton Rouge. I never heard of them from before. They're from the New York. I want to say they're from Long Island, but I don't remember. But they're one of the New York City schools. But they're 0-7 this year, so not a good start for them. Number 12, Southern Miss is headed to Ruston to Louisiana Tech. Air Force is headed to Dallas to play Dallas Baptist. And then Prairie View is headed to New Mexico State. Let's see. Get down here to SEC. We got Arizona State, Mississippi State. Mississippi State is playing in the Arlington Classic this weekend. Oakland University out of Oakland, California, is headed to number 11 Georgia. Another Arlington matchup here. Number 1 UCLA is playing number 20 Tennessee. Let's see. UT Arlington is headed to number 6 Arkansas. St. John's is headed to Kentucky. Number 22 Kentucky. Baylor is playing Ole Miss in Houston. It's classic, one of those classics there. Gonzaga is headed to number 13 Oklahoma. Vanderbilt is headed to Vegas. They'll be playing in a Vegas Classic there against UC Irvine. North Dakota State is headed to Columbia, Missouri to take on Mizzou. Let's see. Nebraska is headed to number 7 Auburn. In the Frisco Classic, which I talked about with with Oregon State earlier, Iowa is playing Alabama in that one. Dartmouth is headed to number 2 LSU. In that Houston Classic, you got number 9 Coastal Carolina playing number 3 Texas. And then let's see, that's all of that one because I've already talked about the A&M game. Sun Belt. You've got Western Carolina playing Troy. This is in Greenville, North Carolina. That may be some kind of classic they're playing in there. I'm not sure. Western Illinois is headed to Monroe. Charlotte is headed to Norfolk, Virginia to play Old Dominion. You got Butler headed to Marshall. Arkansas Pine Bluff is playing Arkansas State. That's a obviously in-state matchup there. Arkansas Pine Bluff is a HBCU. They already played 10 games this year. So good for them. Georgia State is headed to Nashville to play Belmont. University Belmont's a private university there in Nashville. Appalachian State is headed to Gardner Webb. That's in Bowling Springs, North Carolina. James Madison is headed to the College of Charleston in Greenville, South Carolina. USC Upstate will be playing in Georgia. Where's Georgia Southern at? There. I don't remember the name of the city that where Georgia Southern plays. It's not Atlanta though. UC San Diego. It just jumped over here. Let's see. UC San Diego's playing Lafayette this weekend. Lafayette, Louisiana. Abilene Christian is headed to Texas to play Texas State. Western Georgia is playing South Alabama. And that is all of those. Let's see if I can find these. Let me pull up this here. Let's see. Let's see. So I pulled up Texas A&M. They're playing. So Virginia Tech, UCLA, and Arizona State this weekend. That's their matchups. Virginia Tech is playing. Let's see, A&M, Mississippi State, and Tennessee. So that's a fun matchup for them, I'm sure. I think these classics that take place the first couple weeks of the year, uh, they're fun, and they're good RPI builders and stuff if you do well in them. But when you put on a show like this, it gets kind of difficult to keep up with what's going on. Let's see. See, Alabama's playing in the Frisco one. Let's see who all they're playing here. Get this pulled up. It's just taking a second here. Let's see. All right, so Alabama's playing Iowa on Friday, Oregon State on Saturday, and Houston on Sunday. Let's see. Let's do this one that Texas is in. Let's see. All right, so this is in Houston. They're playing. Texas is playing Coastal Carolina, Baylor, Ohio State. Let's see. Coastal Carolina's matchups are Texas, UTSA, and Ole Miss. Ole Miss has got Baylor, Ohio State, and of course Coastal Carolina. All right, let's see. And I think that's about it as far as the little classics for this weekend. There's a lot of baseball going on. Obviously, we're getting into the season. After this weekend, it should be the last weekend of the classics. So, we'll talk about those next week. And guys, this. I love this time of year. I love college baseball. I love we're getting to the end of college basketball. We're fixing to have conference tournaments coming up. We're fixing to have the March Madness kicking off, and of course the NIT. This is a busy time of year for college sports. And of course with college baseball kicking off, it's a lot of fun, a lot to take in. But it is absolutely everything that we're here for. So, with that being said, guys, I will talk to you guys on the next episode. Y'all watch some baseball this weekend. Watch the football. Watch football. Watch the basketball when you get time, but definitely watch some baseball. Let's grow the sport some more. It's growing faster. I used to watch it when you could only watch the championship game on when they would play it on like ABC or CBS back in the 90s and stuff. I used to watch it back then when all you could watch was the national championship game, and now with ESPN Plus you can watch them all. The coverage is still not where it should be, but it's growing, and so the more fans watch it, the more interest grows in it, the more coverage we'll get, and the more this game will grow, and that's what I would love to see is this game to just get to the point where it's on the same level as college basketball and college football as far as coverage. It can only help the sport. So that being said, guys, y'all have a good night, and we'll see y'all next time.